Christian parenting.
You are looking at this homeschool year and you're thinking, I don't want to do this. Whether behind that there's a feeling of dread, there's just a lack of peace, or maybe it's just complete frustration. What you've been doing just isn't working anymore, or maybe it never did work. You can't go back and redo the past years or however long you've been homeschooling, but you can change the course for the future. If your homeschool needs an overhaul, listen into this episode. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast. I am Leigh Nguyen, and here we are at the beginning of August. We have just a month until ticket sales end for Little by Little Homeschool Conference. That'll be on September 4th. Will be the final day to get your conference tickets. So be sure, if you've been thinking about coming, we would love to have you. Make sure you get your tickets soon. But the summer has just flown by. I'd love to know when your homeschool year starts, maybe you do year round and you've already been getting into it and just kind of taking maybe a little bit of a lighter summer with your home education. But you can always email me or message me on Instagram or Facebook. But today we're going to talk about, you're listening to this episode and you're saying, I think I need an overhaul of my homeschool. I am not settled about what we have been doing, or there's been some changes and this year really needs to be different. Now is the time to do it. Even if maybe you're a week into your homeschool, sometimes we start right at the beginning of August, mid-August, or maybe not till September. I've even had moms tell me they don't start until October because September still feels warm. It doesn't matter. If you've already started, we can still do an overhaul. If you have not, now is the perfect time to do it. So let's talk about it. It is never a bad time to make changes to your homeschool. You can do it at any point. You can do it even a couple weeks before the homeschool year ends. It's never a bad time, and it's never the wrong thing to do. But right now is the easiest time for an overhaul. Maybe you have planned to start homeschool in the next couple of days, and you're saying, I'm just, again, going back to that beginning. I was just talking about you have this lack of peace, a dread. You just feel frustrated about it. What if you just kind of push off that date a little bit? I promise the world will not end. And you take some time to go through, I've got some steps for you here. And you take some time and you start off well, instead of starting off and saying, okay, scratch that, kids, we're going to start over again. Because that would be frustrating for them too. Listen, I have done that before where I should have taken more time. I was more so like, we got to get started because we want to have these certain days in and we got to get our 180 days in, however you kind of work that, however you count your days is how you count your days. But still, I was like, we have certain goals, and so we need to get started, but we should not have gotten started. And I had to put the brakes on, take a step back, and reorient ourselves and get ourselves to a better place. And I'm hoping that today's episode is you learning from my mistakes. But listen, mistakes are the way that we learn. I adjusted, and I made sure that the years after that I was fully ready and in the right frame of mind to start our homeschool year, and not doing it just so that I could say we had started our homeschool year, or so I could share with everybody pictures of our first day or anything like that. You have to do what is best for your family, and the fact that I was in that moment trying to just get us started before, maybe I was trying to beat everybody else. I don't know. Or I just thought we were ready. We weren't quite ready. We still had a little bit of summer and a little bit of living that we needed to do, obviously. And as I prepared for this episode, I actually have 9 steps written down. Now you're like, 9? I thought I just wanted like a quick 3-step plan. I broke them down into 9 because I wanted it to just be very minute with each one. So if you want to grab a piece of paper and write down numbers 1 to 9, you can just write a couple of words next to it just to kind of trigger in your mind, and then you kind of know where to go from there. So the first one is, I already alluded to it a little bit, your mindset. Be ready for the homeschool year. If you're not ready and you need to do this overhaul, then push off the start date. Even if your start date is maybe the first day of co-op instead of your actual own first day. I know typically when we join co-ops, maybe we want to start off and have our own personal days with our kids before we go to the first co-op day. But maybe your first co-op day is actually just the first day of school and you don't do any of your own personal homeschool around that. That's okay. Get your mindset on the right place for it. And I want you just to focus on now through the holidays. I know I said the dreaded word, the holidays. I mean, we're halfway through the year. I remember seeing on, I think July 25th the June, July, whatever. Yeah, June 25th. People posting like, oh, we're halfway through the year to Christmas. I was like, stop it. Stop it right now. I want to enjoy today. I want to enjoy June 25th. And so I want you to enjoy today, which is August 3rd. Enjoy today. But also know in the back of your mind, it's going to come. The holidays are going to come anyway. And if you think of it as this block of time between now and the holidays, then you're okay. What's best to do right now? And then reevaluate during your Christmas break. Number 2, recognize that everyone is a year older than when you started the last homeschool year. And hopefully everybody is a year wiser. Now, sometimes we know some kids take a little bit longer to catch up with some wisdom. We also know that during puberty, I feel like with my kids at some point, all wisdom was lost temporarily for a little bit. But in general, everyone is a year older, and that includes you. You are a year wiser. You are a year more experienced in your homeschool. Even if this past year was your very first year of homeschool, you learned a lot, right? You're like, I absolutely did learn a lot. And you're going to continue to learn. And that is what this episode is about, that continuation, that process. It's okay to say we need an overhaul and recognize I'm looking at it through the eyes of myself now at this age. Maybe last year when you homeschooled, you were 35 years old, and now you're 36. You have another year of experience under your belt and another year of looking at your kids and evaluating them and living with them and finding out more about home education and your family culture and all of that. So the second one is to recognize that everyone is a year older, and that means that there should be some changes. Now we're going to talk about this being an overhaul, so don't feel bad that maybe you need an overhaul. There should be at least some changes every year. Sometimes I feel like when our kids are kind of if they're all around the same age, you kind of move in a pack, and there could be some years that look pretty similar, and then one gets a little bit older, especially maybe like the oldest gets into like maybe the middle school ages. You're like, okay, this is kind of a new game that we're playing here. All right, we got to do some changes. But just recognize that everyone's a year older, and that is a good thing. Third, take some time to pray, reflect, and evaluate. Pray. Ask God. Just bare your soul to Him. He already knows. God, I am looking at this homeschool year with dread. God, I just have a lack of peace. God, I am so frustrated with homeschool and I just want to quit. Or whatever your emotions are, pour those out to Him. He wants to hear that. He already knows. He just wants to hear it from you. And something happens when we verbalize it, whether you are praying out loud or in your head, those connections start to be made. You're like, okay, I really am feeling this badly, this frustrated with things. Maybe there's tears. That's okay. Pray. Then reflect. Take some time and really look at your homeschool. And are there things that are not going well in your homeschool? And the root of it is you. The root of it is your heart. The root of it is maybe some sinful bent, some things that you are maybe dealing with in life or whatever it is. Is that what it is? Evaluate your homeschool and how is everybody interacting with one another? What is our attitudes towards one another? How is our family as a whole? And then evaluate your curriculum. Take a look at your resources. How are you spending your time and your energy and what's possibly missing? And is there too much of some things? And don't rush this process. And absolutely feel free to include your husband. Say, can you pray for me? Or can we pray together? Ask your friends to say, I'm really struggling with this homeschool year. You don't have to tell them even the reasons or the details. Can you pray for me? Oh my goodness. If another homeschool mom comes to you and asks you to pray, girlfriend, you get on your knees and you be praying for her, okay? So pray, reflect, evaluate. Number 4, find a few, get that? A few, not a lot, a few, okay? A few inspiring resources that you feel aligned with, or maybe these are resources that inspire you. You're recognizing I'm missing something, and maybe it's, let's go to that lack of peace. You're having a lack of peace, and you find a homeschool book, and you're like, wow, I just feel such peace. Like I want to go to this mom's homeschool. Well, then read that book, glean some wisdom. And I'm saying only a few. If you go beyond 2, 3, it's going to be too much. Again, use that. You're a year older. You understand maybe homeschool better. You understand your kids. You understand the world. You have more wisdom. And is there a resource? Is there a book? Is there a podcast? Well, maybe this one. But I'm beyond that. I don't want to be putting you, I'm not doing this podcast to put you in a tunnel and say you have to just listen to me. Find other resources. I have done some great interviews with homeschool moms who have written books. So go ahead and scroll back and find those different interviews that I have done, and then go ahead and check out their resources and say, do they have a book? Do they have a podcast? Do they have social media? Where do they have a blog? Where are they sharing? This is somebody I want to learn from. So pick a few inspiring resources that you feel like, okay, I really feel like she's speaking to me, or you know what? I'm feeling convicted about how she is sharing about how she has homeschooled, and I really want my home to feel like that, and I want my kids to feel like that, and I want it to be like that. So those few inspiring resources. Number 5 builds off of that. I want you to start with how you want your life to feel and how you want your life to be, not just homeschool. That is a part of it. Home education is a part of it. Educating your kids is a part of your life. How do you want your life to feel and be? Do you want it to be crazy and hectic and chaotic? Okay, well then you're going to create that. Do you want it to be calm and peaceful? Then you're going to create that. And those few inspiring resources, a few, I'm going to beat that horse till it's dead there. A few inspiring resources, use those to help you to create maybe some boundaries, to inspire you, to encourage you, to uplift you. Understanding that those moms that wrote those books, the moms behind the podcast, behind the blogs, none of us are perfect. We've had our ups and downs, and some of the really good ones are going to share some of those down points, and we're going to do so in a way that does not expose our children's own stories that we really don't have the right to share, or to open up things that really don't need to be opened. But to just admit, like, look, these are some of my failures, but this is how I pulled myself out of it, and this is the positive effect of it. So look at and evaluate those, like, how do I want my life to feel and to be? And then create a rhythm or routine based upon that. Notice I have not talked about curriculum or the resources. We're going to get to that next, just as a little hint. But create a rhythm and routine for your day. And that might include it should include a block of time that is dedicated towards home education. But create that rhythm and routine, and then we will put in the homeschool into it. If you don't have a rhythm and routine for meals, but you're feeling frustrated and everybody's hungry all the time, and that's just as a source of contention within the home, then create a rhythm and routine that includes that and the regular time for those things. And now, number 7, you've been waiting, is to add in the curriculum and the resources that are doable. Not the pie in the sky, not the 20 different pieces of curriculum or resources. Just add in the curriculum resources that are doable. Don't start all at once. Maybe in the very beginning. I do have some episodes. Always, I'm going to link in the show notes of every episode I do, this one including, some other episodes that are going to build upon it and to give you a little bit more. So there is one about creating a rhythm and routine, and I do have some about the beginning and the starting of the homeschool year. So go and listen to those next. But don't start all at once. Don't jump straight into the deep end. Let's take those steps into the pool, okay? Take step 1, take step 2. Maybe the beginning of the homeschool year is purely just a couple of subjects. Maybe you're just doing family ones, or you're just doing morning time, and you're saying, okay, and then you're like, okay, we're going to add in some math. Everybody's going to be doing their individual math. Get really good at 1 or 2 things, and then add something else in. So don't add in more curriculum and resources that are actually more than doable, because you're going to get yourself frustrated and thinking that you need an overhaul. Maybe you don't need an overhaul. Maybe you just need to pull back a little bit and focus on, major on the majors, minor on the minors. And right now you're saying you completely skipped number 6. I did, because I had written them in an order and then I rewrote them. But I didn't want to rewrite them. I just changed the numbers. Okay, let's go back to number 6. Before you do that curriculum and resources, oh my goodness, I would say I'm embarrassed, but I'm not too embarrassed, because if I was too embarrassed, I would go and stop this and then re-record. And I'm not going to do that. because this is life. Number 6, so before you do those curriculum and resources, I want you to create margin for connection and discipleship. So you have those rhythms and those routines, and in that, you're creating some margin for connection and discipleship. If your kids know all of the facts, you could pretty much call them maybe Chat GBT. They know everything. I mean, that's impossible. But they can spout out this, they can spout out that, and they are, top of their class, obviously top of their class. But, if you were to give them grades and everything, they would be straight A's, A pluses, and 4.0s and all those things. But they're not nice people. They don't have the love of Christ. They aren't willing to share the gospel with others. They are rude. They are unkind. They lack the fruit of the Spirit. I'm sorry to say, but you missed the mark. Focus on that discipleship with them. And how you do that is through connection. You with them individually, you with your kids as a whole, your family as a whole, your husband with each child individually, your husband with the children together, and then him with the family as a whole. Create the margin. If you're always running and going to this thing and that thing and everybody's separated out, you're missing out on that connection and that discipleship. Then you're going to go to number 7. Then you're going to add in the curriculum and resources. Now, number 8 is that I want you to sit down and I want you to talk to your kids. I don't care if you have a 4-year-old. I don't care if it's a 16, 17, 18-year-old. You're going to sit down and you're going to talk with them about some of the changes that you are going to make with homeschool. Now, if you have older kids, you might want to consult them with some of this of the overhaul and the changes. You can walk them through this process and do it with them. That is fine. But the bare minimum, talk to your kids about the changes, especially if these are big, drastic changes, and tell them why. Admit your failures, admit your frustrations. This will add to that connection. When they start to see, oh, mom isn't just this somebody that's sitting up high and she never does anything wrong and everything goes perfect and she's just a dictator to us kind of thing. We don't want that. We want them to recognize that you are human. And I have found that the admitting to my kids, the times that I messed up, and even now looking back, I'm like, I'm really sorry I was like that when you were this age. They're like, it's okay, because I've been doing that and saying, look, I'm not perfect. I was trying my best and I stumbled, I failed, I fell flat on my face. And sometimes the changes that you're looking to make, the overhaul, you could say, look, I have not been a very kind homeschool mom to you. And my goal is that I want to be kind. I want to share the love of Christ with you. I want God to grow patience in me and all these things. Just admit it to them and let them know why these changes are being made, especially if it's things that you're like, okay, we aren't going to be participating in all these other things or pulling out of maybe a co-op that they absolutely love because it's not necessarily serving your family well. Sit down and talk to them about that. Include them in their education. And a couple of episodes back, I did talk about your kids. Make them earn their education. This can be a part of it. And number 9 is to just simply accept that your homeschool won't be perfect. There has never been a person who has had a perfect day. Now, we might think it's perfect. I mean, your wedding day, you're like, yes, it was just perfect. There was probably things that went wrong. I feel like my wedding day was fantastic. I did not realize until afterwards when my mom pointed out that the roses in my bridesmaids' bouquets were the wrong color. I did not want like a more so hot pink. I think I wanted a light muted pink, but the color was wrong. What was I going to do? Nobody told me, and I did not notice, and I felt like the day was perfect. Was it perfect? No, because that wasn't what I wanted, but guess what? It still was perfect. But all that to say, there's going to be days that feel perfect, and I love that. But it's okay to have days that just are slightly shy of the mark, but also I think we need to accept that was a good day. But your homeschool overall is not going to be perfect. I've graduated 3 kids. Did any of them have a perfect education? No, it was a good education, and thank goodness for the Lord and His grace. And speaking of grace, He has grace for you. And I think we do need to allow some grace for ourselves when we maybe have such a tight schedule and we're expecting everything to go so well, and then somebody starts to melt down. I mean, that's inevitable when you're pushing kids into a mold that's very difficult, and it especially, some kids and at certain ages, it just is very hard, and there's going to be meltdowns. Give yourself some grace and understand that these are not robots. These are people. These are children. But I think that there's also a balance in giving ourselves grace. we can't say, oh, well, tomorrow will be better. Next day, oh, well, tomorrow will be better. The next day, oh, well, tomorrow will be better. We still need to do our best. And our best is trying. It is surrendering. It is offering our days to the Lord, and it is reacting in the best way possible. It is sometimes not reacting, and it's walking away and taking a deep breath. And there's just the balance I see in giving ourselves grace, but also trying and being intentional and doing our best every single day. Okay, what do you think about these 9 things and doing an overhaul? What do you think? Are you ready for it? If you need some help in doing so, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and grab your homeschool blueprint. I'm going to walk you through these 9 steps, but just in a different way. And we're really going to focus on this homeschool year. Again, focus on this through the holidays and looking at all of those little questions and having a vision. What's the bigger goal? What are the goals that you can have for this year, and how can you measure success? How can you set up your day in a routine and a rhythm, and one that you can get everybody fed and also get everybody home educated? So I'd encourage you to go ahead and get that and have that come alongside this overhaul. You can get more information at littlebylittlehomeschool.com/blueprint. And right there, just pour my heart out to you. And I have gotten some great feedback. One woman that I met at a convention in the spring, I was like, so do you have like something like a sentence or two that I can use to help others and show them like what it got? She's like, I love the whole thing. I was like, okay, well, that'll do. So from one homeschool mom to another, she loved the whole thing. So you can also get the link in the show notes. But if you are in need of a homeschool overhaul, I say go for it.